Has your sex life hit a plateau and sex is like, wah, wah? If it happens at all, well then stick around, because today I'm going to talk about how to effectively initiate sex in long-term relationships, particularly if it's been gone a little vanilla, a little boring, or is non-existent. Hey babe, I'm Dr. Catalina, the Intimacy Doc. I'm a psychologist who helps integrate neuroscience, attachment, and Tantra into helping you have the great sex and intimacy you desire and deserve. If you haven't already subscribed to my channels, I put out new videos every Tuesday to really answer the questions that you guys all give me. All right, so let's get into it. In long-term relationships, it is natural for you to get into a routine. Think back, even when you first started dating. Over 85% of couples report that, at the beginning stages of the relationship, the sex was great. That novelty is part of what makes that shit great. So over time, life gets busy. We start learning very quickly, this is what pleases them. These are the buttons to push. And you start doing that over and over. And next thing you know, some of those buttons, particularly around foreplay, start dwindling, and also your body changes as far as what pleases it, and next thing you know, you're not even wanting to have sex. How we initiate sex is incredibly important. A lot of what we're talking about today is informed by Dr. Petra Zebroff's 2021 study, where she found 5 initiation styles that really describe everyone's different styles that they prefer to initiate as well as receive sex. So let's break those down. The 5 that she found were direct, affectionate, playful, seductive, and passive. So direct communication is when you're just pretty explicit about it. I would love to be intimate with you. Affectionate touch is non-sexual touch, where you're maybe cuddling or holding one another. And that really is aiming at fostering that intimacy and connection. 3, playful approaches. Using humor, being like, ooh, if you can catch me when you're running towards the bedroom. You know, keeping it light and playful is an initiation style a lot of people enjoy, and maybe you do too. And just like what we see in Hollywood, seductive techniques. This is where you are setting the stage, you're lighting candles, you're playing some music, and really giving the environment those cues that I want to be physically intimate with you. And then the 5th style that she found was passive approaches. And this is really where subtle body languages, body gestures may actually be the way you communicate or initiate sex. Sometimes this can really be misread, or particularly in long-term relationships, missed outright. And so again, we're gonna talk about how to actually be most effective in all of these styles. Now, before I dive a bit deeper into each of these styles, I want you to remember that across all of these, when we are talking about initiating sex, slow down. I want you to slow down. Where's the fire, okay? You don't. Initiating in getting in the mood for yourself, even pumping yourself up, slow things down, and definitely during the initiation, during that build-up. I believe that foreplay should just be all play, okay? Particularly when we're exploring non-penetrative sexual activities. There are so many ways that you can begin to stimulate yourself as well as your partner. The more you slow down, the more you're giving your body the opportunity to really encode and appreciate those sensations. And that's what leads to expansive experiences. All right, so let's break down. And as I break down a little bit more each of these strategies, I want you to think, wait, what works for me and what works for my partner? And if you're not sure what works for you or your partner, ask. So the first strategy, direct communication. We know that particularly amongst women, when you are more sexually assertive, you're more sexually satisfied. Now, the caveat with this is that so many people say, but I can't talk about sex with my partner, or they're defensive. It really is important to build up the trust and the safety in the relationship so you can have that direct, explicit communication where you assert your sexual needs, wants, and desires. So what do? You start outside of the bedroom. I have other videos out there where I really talk about sexual communication starts with clear, assertive communication, fosters trust outside of the bedroom. So this really applies for couples who are comfortable asserting themselves, already have that. Okay? You can certainly build up to it. But this is really where you're just being pretty explicit. You're saying, I'm in the mood, I would love to be intimate with you, or I feel like connecting with you. Using statements of your desires rather than I want you to, or you do this, that's inviting. That's also arousing. We all want to feel wanted. And so when you communicate your wants as far as how you want to connect with your partner, that explicit communication really begins to foster this connection, foster this intimacy, and then really sets the stage for a nice, intimate sexual encounter. 2, affectionate touch. Now, this can be things like cuddling, or just stroking your partner. It really starts with non-explicitly sexual touch. And this is really appropriate for couples who are already comfortable for physical touch. And so it's really expanding on that physical touch and really beginning to play with the pacing of how you're touching someone and beginning to use your body as communicating to your partner, I'm in the mood to be more intimate. I want to be more intimate with you. Again, this works for when you already feel that physical closeness and that's part of your dynamic. It's nice when you're winding things down at the end of the day and you're both relaxed. Maybe you've gone out for a whole day of activities and you're just now in that cuddling room. Now, when you begin to extend on that affection, that's really where you can begin to segue. Again, it's important for you to use some verbal communication here as well. And it's also really good when this works when there aren't tensions in the relationship. And so I think it's really important as we talk about this, there's a context in which these strategies are going to actually be aligned for you, and not just aligned but effective. 3, playful approaches. You know, sex is meant to be fun. It's meant to be exciting and playful. And too often we use sex as a stress release and we just try to get it done. And we forget to just have fun with it. So when initiating sex, really bringing some levity, some humor to it, chasing your partner around, saying, catch me if you can, or really just bringing that lightness to it. Now, this works if you already are playful in your relationship. If there is tensions or it's been a hard day between you two, this isn't gonna be effective. The emotions of you and your partner haven't been nurtured. Those need to be nurtured first. This is also really where, while you're eating, get erotic with what you're eating and start off as a joke. So many times we watch these videos and movies, and I'll be honest, a lot of times, don't you think they're a little cheesy? And you're like, oh my God, I could never do that. So you can start by making fun of it and then feel the eroticism for you. Playfulness and humor, I say, means your body already is relaxed. And when it's relaxed, that's where you can connect and really deepen that intimacy. 4, seductive techniques. These are really where you are trying to seduce your partner. And whether this be you setting the scene, putting out candles, playing some music, setting them the environment to really cue. And again, I tell everybody, sound, scent, lighting, all of those things can really support your body in relaxing, okay? Where your body is encoding all of these senses, that works for couples who, again, aren't having tension. The majority of strategies when you are learning about how to initiate, how to do certain different types of sexual positions, really are relying on somewhat of a healthy dynamic. So seductive techniques aren't effective if you guys are having tension or when one person is lower energy than the other. You want to create time. This can be for date nights. This can be for when you go away for the weekend, really giving yourself that spaciousness to just relax and connect and explore, but setting the scene to do that. And the fifth technique are passive techniques. And I'll say that a lot of couples use these techniques. And this is really where it's just very subtle, and subtle, like kind of subtle flirtations or kind of looking at that person like in a hubba hubba kind of way, but maybe it's super, super subtle. This works if your partner actually knows those cues. In long-term relationships, when we are super passive, unfortunately that can be misconstrued as just disinterested, or those cues of you wanting to initiate sex just aren't picked up. It's an option to ask your partner, did you notice that the other day I was trying to hit on you? I was trying to initiate sex between us. And just actually outside of that moment, really actually asking them. I wouldn't ask them in the moment because you're trying some things out. You know, if you're watching this video and you want to try out, hey, which style of this works best for me? With the passive, if this is aligned with you, you can also ask, like if you don't want things to be as explicit, you guys can negotiate that. But it does require some negotiation because oftentimes passive cues are just that and they're not noticed. Okay, so what do you guys think about these 5 strategies? With all of them, I want you to know that one size does not fit all, that you may try lots of these different strategies in initiating sex and also encourage your partner to do the same. Again, I gave you contexts for when this is more effective or least appropriate. Keep those things in mind. At the end of the day, the way you initiate sex, one, if it has been a while, may not feel exactly comfortable at the beginning, but know that the more you actually try different things, the more comfortable your body will get. And this is your journey. There is no right or wrong way to do it. These are some approaches, and really beginning to look at how your initiation style matches or aligns with your partner's, and really taking things from there. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Drop down below if you have any questions. And again, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I drop new videos every Tuesday. Thanks for being here and have a great day. Cheers.